Awesome. So we are here today with Lexis. Again, I don't want to spoil anything, but the one thing that I remember from our first conversation is Lexis bowled a 300. So I don't want to start the conversation off on that note, but that was probably one of the coolest things I've ever heard. I don't think I've ever talked to somebody before who's ever bowled a 300. So everybody's lucky enough to be in the presence of a 300 bowler. But anyways, as we get into things here, obviously, if you don't mind giving yourself a brief introduction as well as sharing a little bit more about your journey into the field of mental performance. Also, to what initially sparked your interest in that, industry, in that, realm of mental performance and just sports in general.
Hi, everybody. My name is Lexis. I studied in my undergrad and master's applied psychology, but aside from that, as Josh mentioned, I was a bowler. I've been bowling since the age of 7. I did play other sports, by the way, basketball, swimming, tennis. Unfortunately, I was not good at those, so I didn't pursue that long term. Bowling was where I was passionate at. And so after college, I applied to doctoral programs. Unfortunately, I didn't get in at the time. And I knew long term that I want to be a sports psychologist. So what I was doing was looking up certifications in sport performance, sports psychology, just trying to figure out, okay, what can I do in the meantime? Because with doctoral programs, you have to apply every fall. And at the time that I graduated, it was May. So I was like, September's coming around. There's not really much to put on my resume. So I knew I was going to apply the following fall after that. And I just literally was doing my research. I came across it was in a program and it was like, oh, like this program will help you but like get all your hours to become a CMPC. And I was like, what's a CMPC? Long and behold, it's a certified mental performance consultant. I did my research in that and was like, wow, like this gives me the opportunity to gain hours, gain experience, meeting one-on-one with athletes, meeting one-on-one with teams. And I was super excited. So I built up my LinkedIn profile. I started reaching out to like individuals who were CMPCs, individuals who were sports psychologists, just trying to figure out, okay, like why did you pick this route? What do you enjoy most? What organizations do you work with? What advice do you give to somebody coming in the field? And that's how like I met my mentor. That's how I'm still in the process, just want to put that out there of obtaining my hours. And that's how that journey started and that sparked my interest. But I was introduced to mental performance through that side because I knew about like sports psych background, but I didn't know like there was an area specifically like for that individuals can take that path. So that's how I got into that. It was like a reroute, but not really a reroute because it benefited me in the end.
That's awesome. And I think it's great that you took the initiative to go forward and like reach out to these CMPCs and professionals to learn more about, I
Mhm.
guess, like the career and what would it entail. I think it's great that you found something that seems like you love to do. Looking back at your collegiate athletic journey, would you say there were any challenges you faced as an athlete that you look to help incoming student athletes and current student athletes going forward?
Yes, this is what actually sparked my journey. So I'm going to take us back to high school where I bowled my 300. Senior year, I ended up being number one in New York City out of all 5 boroughs with every bowler. So I knew I wanted to go to a college where my teammates were going to be performing better than me. So we had an opportunity to win championships because I was so accustomed to that in high school. And not only that, it was going to help me grow as a player and as a person overall. Unfortunately, when you're surrounded by better individuals, you're expected to perform at a very high level. And it was a hard transition for me. And I would say mainly because physical things were changed in my performance for the better in the long run. It just took some time to get adjusted to. So when I would say my first year and a half, I was experiencing extreme nervousness, and it reflected in my performance. And I didn't disclose this with anyone. Like my coach, if she watches this and my teammates watch this, they're gonna be finding out about this for the first time because I told no one about this beside my family members and individuals who asked me why I joined sports psych and mental performance. So I was experiencing extreme nervousness for every tournament. I'm not talking about like it happens for the first 5 minutes and then it goes away. It was like I was over calculating every shot. I was nervous. Like the player I known since I was like 7 years old wasn't that girl on those lanes. And it was very scary to me. And I was just like, okay, maybe I'm just really nervous. Like I didn't know what it was, honestly. I remember this tournament vividly. We always went to this tournament. It was UMES in Delaware right before Thanksgiving break. That day was just terrible performance, like all around. And I got home that night and I remember my parents, I don't even know what they said to me. Like we all just sat down after getting home from the tournament and they were like, probably said, "Are you okay?" And I started breaking down crying because I was like, I'm putting in the work at practice. I'm not understanding like why the girl who's at practice, the girl who I've known for like 10 years bowling at this time, is not this person on the lanes. Like it's not making sense to me. Fast forward, spring season comes around. We have a sports psychologist come speak to our athletic department, athletic teams. I said, hey, you know what? Let me just go talk to him one on one because he made some good points in his presentation. I think he may be able to help me. So I told him some of the things that I was going to through, and he introduced me to the term of performance anxiety. And when he introduced me to performance anxiety, it was like a wow moment. And I was like, wow, like if I'm going through this, I can imagine how many more athletes are facing this and they have no idea what it is. Like they're kind of just putting it on the back burner how I did. They're not confiding in their coaches, they're not confiding in their teammates, they're not confiding in their family. They're dealing with it alone. And then that may lead to a path of destruction, right? And loss of a lot of self-confidence, how it did with me, especially in my performance. And then from there, I looked into more terminology in sports psychology. And I was like, this is what I want to do. This is exactly what I want to do.
I think for some individuals, especially a young 20-year-old guy like myself at the time, it's like I probably had, misconceptions about what sports psychology, what mental performance was during those days. And a lot of it was probably more, hey, this is going to be like a therapy session, right? I don't want to talk about, what my childhood was
Mm-hmm.
like in front of these individuals.
Right.
It's like I want to talk about baseball and the sport that I'm playing currently. But for you, I mean, what are the common misconceptions, I guess, that you've seen people have around mental performance, and how do you go about addressing those?
This is a great question. I feel like the common misconception that people have with mental performance is they hear the word mental and they already associate with that, all right, this athlete has a problem. Like, or if I go see a mental performance coach, people are going to think that like there's something wrong with me. But in reality, it's not that. It's to help elevate your performance. And these techniques that are being utilized to help with your performance can be implemented into everyday skills or everyday like tasks that you're doing which are going to help you become a better individual overall. And I don't even know if this is a great analogy, but it's just like, say we have a freshman athlete coming in, right? So, like the human eye, he's physically fit, he's healthy, he's strong. But in order to perform at that big level, he needs to go work out, build up his physical strength, and put on some more weight. Now, people wouldn't consider him like, oh, wow, he's out of shape, he's obese. Like, no, he has to do that because he needs to perform better. And I feel like that's the same thing with mental like skills that are being utilized in mental performance. Like I'm going to go speak to a mental performance coach and it's actually going to help elevate my performance or help build my weaknesses into my strengths. And a lot of people, there's just a lot of stigma around mental health in general. But I will say, I feel like the past few years, a lot of like professional athletes are coming out speaking about their mental struggles or the fact that they utilize sports psychologists, mental performance coaches, and how beneficial it is that it's actually turning the stigma, like destigmatizing it. Not fully, but I feel like we're on our way there.
Definitely, we're taking steps in the right direction. And to your point,
Right.
the NCAA also recently just got into their constitution where these universities now have to prioritize the well-being of their student athletes and be able to,
Mm-hmm.
by prioritizing them, give them these resources available to them around them on campus, so they're able to work on this mental side of the game to hopefully be able to get their best
Right.
performance on the field, in the classroom, and in the relationships with friends and family as well. But kind of building off, like looking back at that, like incoming freshman that's just stepping foot into this college athletic field, like what would you see as common mental hurdles these athletes may face, and how would you help them overcome these hurdles?
I would say some of the hurdles, especially with, I would say, young high schoolers that I have sessions with right now, is comparison, a big comparison thing. Like they look at it as it's me versus my team. Like, oh, wow, my teammate is better than me at that. But it's all about, okay, how can we change your perspective, right? It's not me versus my team, it's my team versus the opposing team. And your teammate actually has a strength where it's your weakness. So that's a good thing, right? Because now we're not both struggling at that one particular skill. But then now, what if we build on your weakness and turn into a strength? Now you're both stronger together. And now that makes you even more stronger to compete against the opposing team. And I would say another thing, which you really don't see at the collegiate level, I mean, rarely, I feel like it's more in younger generations, is not letting go of a bad game or bad practice. They will show it, like wear their emotions on their face. They will drag it on for a day or two, which is not necessarily healthy. And I feel like something that's useful is, okay, I'm going to dedicate a time to allow myself to be upset, to think about it, and then that's it. So it's like once I take off my cleats, that's it. We're leaving that game there, that practice right there. Once I walk to the car, that's it. Or my drive home, or when I get out my car and I'm walking to my house, now it's shut that off. We already reflected on that, and let's get ready for the next day, or let's just enjoy dinner tonight. It's just really all about perspective and setting boundaries with yourself and just developing new skills that are going to help you in the long run.
When looking at some of these athletes now, what are some of the most effective strategies that you found personally for helping athletes manage both performance anxiety as well as pressure?
So I haven't had the opportunity yet to like have a session with an athlete who's dealing with performance anxiety, but what I will say, since someone who has dealt with it personally, some of the skills that helped me was developing a pre-performance routine. Oh my gosh, this was so funny because all my teammates would make fun of me. I had this thing where we have, oh my God, it's, I forgot what it's called. It's like a little pouch that dries your hand up because obviously after a long day of bowling, your hand gets really sweaty. And I would always grab my pouch like right before I went to bowl. And then you always have a towel because you have to clean off the oil off your ball from your previous throw so that it doesn't affect the throw that you're about to go and shoot. So I literally had that, and my teammates knew like once I was getting up there, okay, where's Lexi's thing? Make sure that it's there, her towel, like, because she's about to go through this whole thing. So having that and then visualizing my shot or even utilizing visualization outside of my performance really helped me. And aside from that, I would say deep breathing too, because I noticed if like I started to develop like nerves while I was performing, something that really helped me was taking a deep breath, and that was useful.
I think that's great. You talking about manifesting or like visualizing, that's one of my biggest things is when I'm doing anything or I have like any sort of like anxiety or I'm kind of scared of what the outcome might be. One of my biggest things is I kind of just manifest it succeeding and like excelling at that one thing because it's more of like you keep visioning that you're bound to have that happen. I guess that has something to do maybe with like performance anxiety and kind of like thinking the
Right.
worst. But I guess like how do you see like looking at a broad picture of the mental health space and we could be regarding collegiate athletics, how do you see the role of a mental performance consultant evolving over the next decade, and particularly with advancements in technology and as research furthers on?
Mhm. I wanted to go back to what you said about visualizing and like something that we had in bowling was if you bowl next to a split, you will split. And I would tell you countless of times you would literally see like four splits in a row at tournaments. And we were like, yep, that's why we wait until they go and shoot their split because I'm not gonna go mess up my like strikes or my spares just for somebody else. But with advancement in technology, right now I'm a mental performance coach with a company known as Elevate, Maintain, Evolve. And we utilize cognitive training to help athletes with hand-eye coordination, depth perception, and visual clarity. And we take athletes, we have them do an assessment when they first come in, and we have like particular areas where we test, and then we wait another 6 weeks where we do like drills and training things on a system called the Synaptech, and then we show them, okay, this was where you were at week one, this is now where you are at week six, or whenever they come in for that second assessment. And I feel like since we are utilizing this type of technology now and we're showing athletes the improvement that they're having, it's only going to grow in the future as we continue to do research, like as a community, as we continue to produce results that are showing that athletes are actually improving with mental performance skills, cognitive training. It's just going to take the whole mental performance area like to another level.
like you had mentioned in the mental performance side of stuff, it's going to be so beneficial. It's going to be able to, reach new individuals, help out individuals in ways that we probably can't even really, conceive mentally right now.
Mhm.
But when I was in school, specifically kind of in that high school to college realm, I personally would have like really have loved to have just been inside of someone's shoes, someone's mind to hear, hey, like what advice would have been great for me going from that, high school to college age, like what advice would have been out there to help me during that transition, or to say, hey, you know what, like it's going to be okay that you're going to go to two schools in two separate states and, be a part of two way separate teams, things like that. But ultimately for you, Lexis, what advice would you give to somebody who's really aspiring to be either a sports psychologist, or maybe someone too who's interested in pursuing a career in this field?
I would tell someone who's interested in joining this field to obviously make sure that they're passionate about this one. But I feel if you're joining this field, you're passionate about it. A lot of people who come into this field are former athletes, and even if they're not, they have their why of why they want to help. And that's amazing as well. Another thing I would say is do your research, because this field has so many different paths that you can take down. And I'm honestly, now reflecting back, so grateful that I wasn't accepted into my doctoral program the first time I applied, because it gave me the opportunity to do my research, connect with more people in the field, learn about why they joined. And just going back to the whole point of research, you can either go the doctoral route, but not everybody wants to go to school for another 4 to 6 years, and that's okay, right? And then you can do your CMPC where you have to complete a certain amount of hours in mentorship, and that's great as well. You have the same opportunity. There are differences though. Like you have to also identify what you want out of life and out of a career. For me, it's freedom and flexibility. Aside from my passion and why I want to join sports psychology, I like was able to do research in the field and notice that it would be able to give me that flexibility, right? If I want to have a client on Monday or I want to meet with a team on Tuesday, like it's going to give me that opportunity to do that. Where other jobs, like you have to strictly be there from a time limit, which is okay as well, right? But really do your research, know what path you want to go down, because also too, you have to do a lot of education for it as well. Internships is big because that'll help you gain experience. And lastly, take what people say with a grain of salt, especially for females wanting to join this field. I'll tell you some of the encounters I've had. I've gotten phone calls with men that would tell me it's a male dominated field. You're not going to succeed. You might want to try another route, which for someone who's younger, that may really like turn them away. But like I said, if you have that passion, you're just like, okay, that's your opinion. That's not really going to change anything that I want to do. And second, I've had people tell me, okay, it's like a lot of politics, like there's no money in it. And back to the whole passion thing, I'm a strong believer if you're passionate about something, you're going to make money. But even if you don't, you're making a change in people's lives, and that's way greater than income. And listen, we all need a way to survive. That will come. Like you don't have to worry about that. Please don't listen to people. Like there are so many successful people in sports psych. Like please do not listen to people. Listen, it may maybe take you a while, maybe it won't. Everybody's different in every field. Like all entrepreneurs like are not successful when they first start. So that's why I say just take everything with a grain of salt, do your research, be passionate, and yeah, get some experience while you're there too.
I can't wait to see what you're going to achieve in the future and all the
Thank
awesome
you.
stuff there. Again, Lexis, I can't thank you enough for your time today. Again, sharing more about your journey. I learned a ton of new things, not only about yourself and your journey into mental performance, but just in the mental performance world in general. Again, too, I'm amazed by the work that you have been doing and that you're going to be continuing to do in the future. So again, too, I'm looking forward to following along that journey and seeing all the awesome stuff that you're going to accomplish. For everybody listening and tuning in, we are going to plug Lexis's social media handles down below. Please go give her a follow, reach out to her. Again, if you are one of those sports psychologists who are, kind of in that stage of maybe you're in the grind of it, right? You don't see the light at the end of the tunnel, give her a quick message. And she's an awesome resource to tap into as far as this guidance and overall, just information. So again, please go give her a follow in that realm as well. But other than that, guys, we will see you guys next week, Friday. And again, Lexis, thank you so much for your time today.